Canon is widely known as the largest camera manufacturer in the world, valued at over $23 billion. In fact, just last year, Canon accounted for almost half of the digital camera market, more than double the amount of their next closest competitor. But did you know they make more than just cameras? Although that's what they're known for, most of their revenue actually comes from sales of other things, like printers, office supplies, and a whole lot more. But to better understand how they got into all of this and became the world's leading company in the camera space, we'll need to go back to how it first got started, and more importantly, who started it. Welcome to Doers Digest. In this video, we're going to be looking at how Canon became the globally recognized presence that it is today. At the turn of the last century, in 1900, Goro Yoshida was born in the cool-tempered city of Hiroshima, one of the most well-known cities in Japan. And as he grew into a teen, his parents thought it best to move to Tokyo, where he would enjoy the remainder of his secondary education. During this time, he became fascinated with cameras. Everything about them was interesting. So he decided he was going to do everything it took to become a master at creating them. Soon after, he graduated high school and went straight into an apprenticeship, where he learned everything he could about the process of camera manufacturing. And like most visionaries, he too had a dream that he would create the world's greatest camera. A camera far greater than the best at that time, the German model Leica. So what did he do? Goro Yoshida decided to completely disassemble the Leica Model 2. Now, why was this a big deal? Well, at the time, a typical worker would have had to save the equivalent of 6 months' salary just to afford this model. And yet, he was tearing it apart. And he admitted later on that he did this without much of a plan. He just wanted to see what was inside, since the camera had essentially been hailed as God's gift to the world. And what he found was very disappointing. After deconstructing the Leica Model 2, he was surprised to find that there was nothing special about its makeup. He found that the parts were made from brass, aluminum, iron, and rubber, all inexpensive materials. And this discovery made him angry. He felt as if lights had cheated the world, given the camera's substantial price. This gave him a newfound resilience to construct his own model. But he knew that undertaking this task alone would be nigh impossible, as he'd be competing with an industry-leading brand as a solo entrepreneur. That would be like an MIT grad student going up against Apple. Not impossible, but unlikely. So he employed the help of a couple more people, his brother-in-law Saburo Uchida and an associate Takeo Maeda. Together they created Precision Optical Instruments Laboratory, the predecessor to what we now know as Canon. And while the current Canon headquarters takes up 52 acres of land, the group's first base of operations was a single room in a 3-story apartment building. But that was all the space they needed to create their first prototype. Now, because Yoshida was Buddhist, he chose to name this prototype Kwannon, after the Buddhist goddess of mercy. In fact, their first logo included a depiction of the goddess just above the name. This was never actually commercialized, but it was the foundation for their first product release. Now, while the apartment did suffice for their first year of research and initial prototype, it wasn't enough for them to fully execute their plans, simply because they didn't have all the parts they needed to assemble fully functioning cameras. They had a vision and they had a plan, but they needed more resources. So they partnered with Nippon Kagaku, or we now know as Nikon, in a cooperative effort to bring their vision to life. And in 1936, 3 years after the Precision Optical Instruments Lab was founded, the Hansa Canon was created. Just a year before, the company had filed for ownership of the Canon trademark. The term canon is a general law, rule, principle, or criterion by which something is judged. This seemed fitting for the company name, as they intended to create the highest quality products and in the process become the industry standard. And Yoshida's religious background, similar to the naming of their prototype, inspired this decision. While the name Canon has remained over the years, the logo has undergone several changes consistent with the cultural climates of the time, finally arriving at the logo we now know today. After the creation of the Hansa Canon, the sky was essentially the limit. They produced 2 industry-leading cameras in 1946 and 1942, the S2 and 2B. The 2B even won the first prize at the National Camera Exhibition hosted in San Francisco. By now, Leica was very familiar with their competition and constantly trying to be a step ahead. However, I'm sure you can probably tell how that went. A decade later, Canon released the Canon Flex. This was a revolutionary camera, as it was the first camera with rapid shutter release. In 1971, they continued to capitalize on the global love towards SLR cameras by releasing the Canon F1, yet again rocking the industry. And over the course of the next 50 years, Canon continued to stamp their name on the hearts of photographers around the world. But, like I mentioned in the intro to this video, they make more than just cameras. They produce some of the best commercial use printers available, as well as software, card printers, scanners, calculators, medical equipment, and a whole host of other things. Part of the reason they are able to do all of this is because, in traditional big business fashion, they bought out a lot of companies. Axis Communications, Toshiba Medical, and Redline Tech are just a few organizations on that list. And while they are still based in Japan, they've expanded their physical presence far beyond that, setting up regional headquarters in America, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Asia, and Oceania, with over 180,000 employees. And it's funny to think how it all started with the vision of one man. A man who I think, and I'm sure many of you would agree, changed the world. But that's just my take. Let me know what you think in the comments below and what brand you'd like to see covered next.